So I ended up rambling on a lot longer than I thought I would, and when I was watching my first video through, I didn't like the pacing of it. Anyways, Joe Rogan had Donald Trump on his podcast. Probably the biggest podcast um, of all time, to date. Uh, we're gonna get into obviously what was said in the podcast. Uh, we'll get into the election. Kamala Harris apparently denying going on there, but yeah, he dropped a lot of bombshells, including the fact that he said he will release the JFK files um, right as gets in. Uh, but if you like the content, subscribe, uh, do all that fun stuff. Uh, Let me know in the comments what your opinions of this podcast were. But yeah, it was very interesting to me, right? Because um, in, in middle school, like I've always had I've always enjoyed history, right? From a young age, I was a weird kid that I wouldn't really go hang out. I was cerebral palsy, so I didn't do any sports, and I would basically play video games, or I'd spend hours reading into history, like every guy does, right? Um, but you know, this time around, and ever since 2016, the the stigma around the big guy is really interesting, right? You either love him or hate him. Like, there's apparently no in between where anybody can say, I like these certain policies, I like what he says here, but I don't like this or I don't like this. It's apparently you either hate the guy and you think he is a Nazi and you think he's going to take over the world, even though he was in for 4 years and we didn't have any of these wars. But we'll get into that. Um, but you know, my mom is somebody who, you know, I talk to frequently. Obviously, she's my mom, and she's recently gone down the whole Israel and Palestine thing. She ended up going down so many rabbit holes during like World War II and the Holocaust and that. I'm like, this is all shit that I was trying to bring up to her in middle school, and she wanted nothing to do with it because you know, she's a she's a fairly liberal person. I would say too, I'm more socially liberal with some conservative values. But I want to say this before we get fully into it. I'm not loyal to any party. I'm not going to tell anybody who to vote for. And, you shouldn't gauge who you're going to vote off for off of one podcast or off of one video. Gauge it off of you listening to the candidate and determining whether or not they match your values or not. But with my mom, right? It's like she's finding out these little things, and she's she's starting to see uh, the machine kind of runs the way it wants, and there's is a lot of shady stuff going around that has gone around for decades, but has been more apparent, I think, over the last 4 years. Obviously, we have the Diddy situation going on. We have Epstein. Um, but you know, you recently I did a video on Jeff Bezos. He ended up uh, making the Washington Post uh, take back. Well, they didn't even make the endorsement of Kamala, but he shut down the endorsement of Kamala, and he made the Washington Post never endorse another candidate again. And that just goes to show you too. Like, all right, whether you like Donald Trump, whether you don't, whether you are a Democrat, Republican, liberal, whatever your values are, I feel like there are not many people who would say that Kamala and Biden getting in has been nothing but a disaster. I'm not saying they haven't done any good things. They've done a few good things, right? But man, it's right. Like the main things that I want in government that up here in Canada we fucking don't have is a leader and leaders I should say because it's more than a president that can provide a stable economy for the country, provide safe borders, and protect free speech. That's honestly all I care about. Um, I, I don't think the government should get involved in abortion. Like, I used to have my opinions on that topic, and, you know, Donald Trump smartly in his interviews and even in this podcast, he kind of says he's just gonna leave that up to the states, and that's like it's not an issue you are ever going to get right because like you have one side where abortion is murder and there's no justification. But then you have these circumstances in which the mother is her health is at risk. But I also do kind of see like there's certain situations again. Like I said, this is abortion is it's never a topper you're gonna win on, right? Um, But like at the end of the day, like I said, the biggest things a leader needs to manage is the border, the economy, and the morale of its citizens. And, you know, this being the first time many people sat down and listened to Trump. Not a video Trump, not a corporate Trump, not somebody breaking down a clip of Trump, not an entire video breaking down another video of Trump. This was the first time that they sat down and they heard Donald Trump speak, right? No moderators interrupted, no stupid fucking debate uh, scheme. Like, I'm gonna talk about Canada here. And our goof, Justin Trudeau, who's been our leader for 10 years now, basically. But, you know, the thing with Trudeau is initially he looked like a good candidate. The biggest thing that got him in was marijuana legalization, which again, on the topic of um, drugs and that, that's another video I can go into because I feel like if you haven't dealt with any kind of addiction, if you haven't like been through any kind of rehab or something like that, addiction and drugs is not it's not a topic I think uh I think you need experience with it to fully comment and act on that one. But you know, like Trump is very charismatic, right? He's very funny. very entertaining. Um, like they talked about too, and this is an important thing, is Donald Trump was unanimously loved. You know, I would say like I run an MMA channel here. Like I cover UFC and everything. Actually, I'm gonna do a video right after this on Max Holloway moving up to 155. He just announced that a ton of good fights for him, and you know, you look at Donald Trump, and when he goes to these rallies, when he goes to a UFC event or concert, anything, the crowd loves him. They're chanting his name. And then I don't know if you guys saw the it was like a memorial ceremony, something like that. Uh, Donald Trump walked into this room and everybody went fucking ballistic as they usually do. But then Kamala and Biden walked in and it was crickets. And then they ended up walking out right after, very pissed off. It was funny. Left early. Uh, great signs of a leader right there. Well, like, you know, he was talking about tariffs. You know, tariffs were a big part of his administration, right? And I've always been interested in politics, like I said. But, like, Donald Trump ran America in a way that I've wanted Canada to run my entire lifetime, right? Because with Trump, right, he was able to put America on track to be completely self sufficient. Um, you look at every industry, you look at every resource you can think of. America is a massive country. America is the hub of the world. Let's be honest. Uh, you know, the amount of influence America has is unreal. Like, I'm up here in Canada, right? America's culture dictates Canadian culture. Uh, Canadian culture, apart from like hockey, um, that like hockey, um, I don't know what are some Canadian things. I really can't think of them because majority of the things that like most people day to day non stereotypical Canadian people I talk to, it's heavily American influence media or shit. But like beyond the border, beyond the economy, I think the most important thing is, you know, unity and fucking not being so divisive. Like I said, they called Donald Trump a Nazi every opportunity they get, right? Uh, but like, man, I think if Kamala did Joe Rogan, it wouldn't be human. It would be pre-written speeches off of cultural topics. And it's like obviously Trump is an older guy, right? Like the pandering to these people um, that are in these groups, right? And first of all, I have nothing against gay, trans, whatever. I, my personal belief, I'm very libertarian. I think everybody should do whatever the fuck they want as long as they don't interfere with anybody else. But I don't think everybody needs to accept what you're doing. Like, I shouldn't need to, you know, go out of my way to appreciate what you're doing, especially if I don't like it. Um, but like, man, like with Joe Rogan, right? Biggest podcast in the world. Like I said, mainstream news is just they're fucking done with. They their days are falling. Their viewership are falling. Once the boomers and old people die out, they won't have viewership. But yeah, I feel like beyond beyond politics, beyond foreign policy, beyond the economy, which is the second most important thing. Like, what we gotta fucking we gotta dial it back, man. We've gotta like stop letting the extremists on both sides dictate what we're doing. Like I said, Donald Trump, he's always been loved in the MMA community. He had a friction with Mark Cuban. He's one of the ones that gave the UFC venues and that. Um, but yeah, I just to me, man, I feel like this being the biggest podcast of all time. Um, th- th- this was this was an eye opener, I hope, to a lot of people, whether or not they are American, whether or not they will vote for Trump, or whether or not they will vote for Hillary. I hope that this showed a lot of people who never listened to Trump before a new side to the coin and a new perspective. But now that we're done talking about that, the fact that JFK is in his administration, he dropped a bomb. He dropped a couple bombshells at the end um, of the podcast, where he said that upon getting into office, he will release the JFK documents. He got a little bit into it, but man, that right there might have won him the election. Uh, Joe Biden had had the chance to do it, didn't do it. But I assume that might incriminate uh, some people. But yeah. Overall, I thought it was a good podcast, really good interview. Let me know in the comments, what did you think about this podcast down below. Um, you know, I just, regardless of who wins, I hope we dial it back. I hope we stop pandering this. I don't even understand this shit anymore. Like, there are a large portion of people my age I can't even understand. Uh, but yeah, really good interview. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. I'm gonna do a video on Max Holloway moving up to lightweight after his knockout loss to Poirier, so look out for that. And yeah, later.